The South African Union of Students, SAUS, says it notes with grave concern the development of a two-tier South African higher education system that's characterized by the polarising disparities of the different institutions of higher learning. This is under the current lockdown regulations amidst the growing challenges presented by the COVID-19 global pandemic. We talk about this now. I'm joined via Skype by Thabo Shingange, who's the spokesperson for SAUS. Thabo, good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for joining us here on the SABC News channel.
Good afternoon, Palisa, and to the viewers at home. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you so much indeed for coming through. So what exactly is the union concerned about this time around?
Look, thanks, Palisa. As a union, we unambiguously, condemn, like you explained, the development of a two-tier higher education system, where we are seeing, for instance, that the push to complete the academic year online is benefiting your most historically advantaged universities, the likes of the WITS, the UJs, UPs, Stellenbosch, and so forth, at the expense of your most historically disadvantaged institutions and students. We note, for instance, current challenges at the Walter Sisulu University, at the University of Fort Hare, Mangosuthu University of Technology. All of this is happening in the midst of weaknesses in terms of governing the sector, whereby the ministerial task team that has been appointed has failed to convene over the last 2 months to speak directly to these fundamental issues that are affecting us. And as a result, what we're then seeing is a two-tier education system, the online for the haves, and literally those with the have-nots, rather, are left in complete isolation and confusion. No learning material has been delivered to some students. No laptops have been delivered to some students. And so as a result, the academic project for those particular students and institutions becomes highly compromised. And there's no sector-wide coordination to say that let us appeal towards a single coordinated system. Instead, what we're seeing is just these silos continuing to entrench the existing inequalities.
View is that these concerns that you're raising now, you've raised them before. We've had SAUS before here on the channel talking about exactly the same issues. Does this mean that your concerns have not been able to be addressed, or have you not raised them with the relevant authorities?
I think one of the biggest contemplations we've been making as a union is around the challenges COVID-19 has presented insofar as student activism is concerned, not just for the union, but across higher education institutions, where, for instance, in a normal situation where if all students were on campus and were having these particular challenges, this is where your higher education system would be characterized by mass protest by disgruntled students over failures to deliver the promises that have been made to them. However, what we're seeing is that because of the lockdown regulations, because students are dispersed in their various locations, many of which come from rural, poor backgrounds, their voices are not being heard. They are not informed or part and parcel of the engagements online. And as a result, their voice or student voices throughout the sector is being silenced by your online meetings, your ad hoc committee meetings, which then decide on all of these particular things with the complete exclusion, rather, of your student representative bodies, your SRC bodies on your various campuses. But even on top of that, I think as a union, we're particularly concerned with the ministerial COVID-19 task team that was set up, because part and parcel of the responsibilities of this task team is to speak to a sector-wide approach and to speak to a sector-wide response insofar as these challenges are concerned.
But let me just get clarity on this one. What are your concerns here, Thabo? Is it the fact that due to the inequalities that exist between the different institutions of higher learning, that some of your members, some learners, some students, I beg your pardon, are not able to be taught? Is that what you guys are complaining of?
Yes, teaching and learning for the most part is only continuing online, and to those who have access and to those institutions which have, like we're saying, the historical institutional infrastructure for that.
But then at the same time, we had the Minister of Higher Education, Dr. Blade Nzimande, a few weeks ago making that announcement that laptops will be given to those who cannot afford, cell phone companies coming on board, collaborating with the Department of Education to give out data to students. Has that not happened?
Again, like I'm saying, in those, so if you want to go back to this laptop conversation, the reason it does not happen is that your most historically disadvantaged institutions are still in the process, some of procuring those particular laptops, are still in the process of delivering those particular laptops. Many of the students don't even have the data being sent to them on a monthly basis. Even on top of that, Palesa, is the issue around the missing middle, because even in that particular pronouncement, even though it's delayed, you have a large amount of students, the missing middle student in the system, who is not being provided for and who is sitting at home. So there's no laptop insofar as government response is being articulated that speaks to the issues of the missing middle student, who also have a responsibility for their academic year to be preserved, this particular in the 2020 academic calendar. But now the result or the issue, by and large, really, is a result of the failure to meet those particular articulations. If you remember most correctly, the issue of laptops was supposed to be resolved as early as the first of I think it's July or the 1st of August, when the academic semester was supposed to go into, or was supposed to resume the academic semester post the lockdown. But what you've seen is that even the minister himself, has had to push back the dates of the laptop procurement, citing relevant, government gazetting procurement processes and policies and so forth. And as a result, has not aligned that with the reopening of the academic calendar. Instead, what has happened is that those institutions which have had resources, who procured laptops on their own, if you remember, it was the likes of WITS and UJ, which bought the 5,000 laptops for students, which made the advance of the particular data. This was not necessarily coming from the ministerial task team or the minister's announcement. In fact, the minister's announcement was to balance out those advances that had been made by most advantaged universities, which is why even today, like you are saying, it is the same institutions which started off and set the pace and tone for the higher education sector, which have completed their examinations, which are going into the second semester. Yet you have the University of Fort Hare, which has barely started the academic year for 2020. Now we're saying, what does this then mean or speak to insofar as a single coordinated higher education system is concerned? Mm-hmm. Because these current institutions are most likely being able to complete the academic year by 2020 in December, whereas we've had the minister even make announcements or assumptions that the academic year can go as far as 2021 March.
Yes.
And what we're saying, the two-tier system...
Just very quickly, because I need to wrap up this hour now. Very quickly, you've raised these concerns before, you continue to raise them. What then happens next? Very quickly.
We're calling for an immediate pause of the academic calendar, so that the minister can convene a sector-wide task team or sector-wide meetings and stakeholders to allow for these various challenges to be aired, to allow for the collective resolutions to be resolved. What we're seeing now is that the reason we're having these same conversations over and over again is because nothing is being done about them and no one is necessarily speaking to them. Okay. And as this happens, they are continuing online at the expense of your most historically disadvantaged institution. All
right. We'll certainly seek the department's response on that. We thank you so much for coming through. Thabo Shingange is the spokesperson of the South African Union of Students, SAUS.